my name is Mariana and this is Vegan Señorita. I'm going to show you guys today how to make some awesome vegan keto tacos al pastor. The two main ingredients are pretty versatile and they can be used in many different dishes. In fact, you'll see me use one of these main ingredients in a video that I did before. But one of the main ingredients that I'm going to be using today is oyster mushrooms. These things are like, they're so cool. They're one of my favorite things right now. And shout out to Wicked Healthy for showing me how to do the press method on these. I'm gonna link a video down below so you guys can check that out. It's really, really cool. It's a really cool method that gets the meat really crispy on these oyster mushrooms. By the way, I don't know why they're called oyster mushrooms. I assume it's because they look like an oyster, but if you know why they're called an oyster mushroom, let me know in the comments down below. The other thing that we're going to be using as our main ingredient, which I personally love and I use in a lot of my dishes, is Butler soy curls. These babies are so cool. It's just soy, and I've already rehydrated these in some water, but check these out. They're spongy, right? So they really absorb all the flavor that we're gonna be putting on these, as well as the oyster mushrooms. And then the other thing we're gonna be using is some ginger, some cumin, some achiote. If you've never used achiote before, you can buy it at your Latin supermarket. It looks something like this. It's also called annatto. And if you don't find it at your supermarket, you could probably find it on Amazon. We're gonna be using some achiote, some ginger, some garlic, some salt, some pepper, some cumin, and we're also gonna be using some apple cider vinegar with a little bit of swerve and some limes. And the reason we're gonna be doing apple cider vinegar with swerve is traditionally, tacos al pastor, or the pastor meat, is marinated with pineapple juice. And pineapple juice has a lot of sugar. It's not keto. So in trying to make this recipe as keto friendly as possible, I went ahead and sweetened a little bit of white vinegar, apple cider vinegar with swerve, and then we're gonna be adding in the lime juice, which will make a very similar pineapple juice. And the very last ingredient that we're gonna be using to make this paste is an ancho chili or pasilla chili. So go ahead and look for this at your Latin grocery store. If you don't find it there, you can find it on Amazon. If you can't find it on Amazon, you can find the powder, I'm sure, at your grocery store. Just look for something that says ancho chili powder. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna need to rehydrate our ancho chilies in some water. I did this beforehand, and you just need to get one ancho chili, one pasilla chili, whichever one you find, and go ahead and rehydrate one of those into some warm water for about 10 minutes. You're going to put this into a blender. If you don't have a Vitamix, that's totally fine. Any blender will work. I have found that Vitamix tends to make a really smooth paste out of anything. It really liquefies whatever you put in it, but if you don't have it, don't worry. Now we're gonna be adding in our achiote and spices along with our ginger. That is a little bit of a different take on this pastor meat, the ginger part, which is my own variation. I love ginger, I wanted to put it in there, and I want to see how it turns out. So all the measurements for this will be down in the description box, but we're gonna be adding that to our blender. And then we're gonna be adding in 1 cup of apple cider vinegar and swerve, 2 tablespoons of swerve into our blender. This resembles the pineapple juice. We're gonna be adding in 1.5 limes. Okay. 1 full lime. You can always add in more lime after you're done blending this, but you can't take lime out. So if you like yours a little bit more tart, you can always add in a little bit of lime later. And then the very last thing we're gonna do is just pulsate this. Or actually, we're gonna blend it pretty hard. In order to get the oyster mushroom to really absorb all of that liquid, we're going to be adding in our paste on top of this. So go ahead and get you a bowl, because you're going to need something deep, and put in your oyster mushrooms. Just stack them in. Now, depending on where you get your oyster mushrooms, they may come clean already. Like, this is pretty clean. However, you may find that some come not perfectly clean, like this one. It still has a stem on it, and it can be tough, so you don't want that. So just make sure you clean up any part of it that isn't perfectly clean, like this one. The goal is to try to not do what I just did and like break it off so far in that you separate the meat, because keeping it together like this will make kind of that pastor like layers on our tower. Okay, like this one's pretty dirty, so you want to go ahead and clean that off. I'm going to save that for later. All right. And into this bowl, I'm gonna be adding in our mixture. This is our adobo. So adobo is a general word for a type of paste or a type of boiled paste that you would put on meat in order to marinate it. So we're gonna put our adobo on these oyster mushrooms. And just don't be afraid to get dirty. Go ahead and massage that in and turn them so it can get all the flavor on every single layer of this oyster mushroom. You should get something like this. Okay. And we're gonna marinate this for 4 to 8 hours. You could even marinate it for up to 3 days, and I have found that the longer you let this marinate, the better it tastes. Like, it will taste bolder the longer you let it marinate. So we're gonna go ahead and let this marinate and set this aside for at least 8 hours. Okay, now the next step, now that we've gone ahead and put our oyster mushrooms into the fridge, we're gonna prepare our soy curls. I've gone ahead and just drenched them in water, warm water, for about 10 minutes in order to rehydrate them, because when you get soy curls, they come dry. So in order for us to go ahead and add our anato or our achiote paste into this, we're gonna go ahead and drain these soy curls. By the way, when I was little, I always wanted to have my own cooking show, and I loved how they would pull stuff from underneath in order for them to, like, you know, get their food ready. So I made myself a makeshift table to do that. Just side note. But okay, so we're gonna drain these. And I'm just gonna run some tap water over them. All right, we're gonna set these aside, let them drain. That'll take a few minutes. And in the meantime, I'm gonna make the same adobo that we made earlier, which was the apple cider vinegar, swerve, garlic powder, salt, black pepper, achiote, lemon, and we're gonna go ahead and blend this all together. And I forgot, we also added an ancho chili into this blender with the same mixture. We rehydrated that ancho chili with some warm water. So, my soy curls are fully drained. They may have just a tiny amount of liquid in them, but that's totally okay. This is what they look like, fully drained. They are still very flexible. You can tell they're still liquid, like you can tell they're still hydrated. And we're gonna go ahead and add our achiote adobo to this. And just marinate them well. Oh yeah, that looks good. That looks super good. I'm gonna go ahead and try this. I actually haven't tried this. See, like, does this taste like what I would want a restaurant to taste like? Oh yeah, that is good. That is so good. Okay. We're gonna mix this well. I'm so happy about this. I don't know why I was so intimidated by it earlier. But now it doesn't seem that hard. So this is what it should look like. Should be a really good orangey type of mixture. So I'm gonna cover this with some saran wrap, put this in the fridge for at least 8 hours. We're gonna come back, we're gonna preheat our oven, set it to 350. We're gonna get it crispy, and then we're gonna make some tacos out of it. Vegan keto tacos. Okay, it has officially been 8 hours that I've let this marinate. The sun is starting to go down, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this on a lined sheet that I just lined with aluminum foil, sorry. And I'm gonna go ahead and put in our soy curls on the aluminum foil. And we're gonna put that in the oven at 350 degrees for 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay. We've got the soy curls in the oven at 350. Now in the meantime, we're gonna prepare our mushrooms a very different way. So I'm gonna set my stove to medium-high heat. And a cast iron is really recommended for this. That's just, I think, the best way for you to get that crispiness on these mushrooms. And I don't have another cast iron like is recommended for this pressing method, but I do have a pot with a lot of water, so that'll give me the weight that I need. So go ahead and heat up your cast iron, and then I'm gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. I really recommend you using avocado oil. It has a much higher heat tolerance than olive oil, so it won't smoke. And then it also won't release any toxins. So go ahead and let that cook up. Just spread your oil around. And then I also recommend getting a cloth or something, a rag, to be able to move this around. Otherwise, you could really burn yourself. So go ahead and just let that heat up. Okay, so the cast iron is pretty hot now, and here comes the exciting part. We're gonna go ahead and grab one of these oyster mushrooms and just place it on there. Try to get it to where the flattest side is down. I'm just gonna get dirty in here. Just try to get some of that liquid off. A little spot right there, a little nudge. There's a little spot over here. Yeah. Press it in. Okay. And now what you want to do in order to get the mushroom to kind of condense itself but keep all those layers is this pressing method, which we're just going to put this pot of water on top of here and just let this sizzle for about a minute. And then after a minute, I'm going to take it off, I'm going to flip the mushroom, and then do it again. And then we're gonna do that over and over again for a total of about 10 minutes. Okay, so I removed my pot of water, which was the weight that was sitting on the mushroom, and there's still a lot of liquid in there. So I think it's probably gonna be more than 10 minutes that we're gonna have to repeat this process. But I just wanna show you all the liquid that's coming out of there. So I wanna try to remove some of this liquid, and since I don't need it on the mushroom anymore, I'm just gonna grab a spoon and just put it aside, set it aside as best as possible. I just put that pot of water right next to me to make it easy for me to be able to spoon that out. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put my pot back on to apply some pressure. I put a paper towel underneath so I just wouldn't leave a bunch of stains anywhere. But just go ahead and put it back on, wait about another minute, and then we're gonna flip the mushrooms or try to remove some more of the liquid. Yeah, so you're getting a little bit of that charring. And this is just after one flip and about 3 minutes of putting that pot of water on top just for weight. And I'm gonna go ahead and flip it in about 2 more minutes, but look at that. That looks like some seriously good pastor meat. And this is an oyster mushroom. Anything is possible, guys. It is ready. Now, while I don't think that this is the simplest dish to make, like if you have 30 minutes to make a super quick vegan keto meal, this would not be my go-to. But if you want some seriously good food that's worth the trouble and that's worth the effort, this is it. So I would recommend just at this point turning off your heat, letting it rest a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put mine onto just like a wood cutting board. I would not put this on a plastic board just because it's hot and plastic can melt and then it'll release fumes that you don't want in your food. So just get that aside, but I mean, this looks so good. Check out the char on that thing. Like, the camera doesn't even do it justice. Check out the char on this thing. I mean, it's just so good. Well, there you have it. So I went ahead and took out my soy curls from the oven. They had been sitting there for an hour and a half. I flipped them halfway through, and this is the result. Right here is some soy curl pastor. Now, I'm super impressed with the oyster pastor. It looks really good. But the proof is in the pudding, and we just gotta try these. So that's truly how we're gonna know if they're good. Now, I found these low-carb tortillas at H-E-B, and they have 3 grams of net carbs each, so I love these. So I don't usually eat tortillas every single day, but I do love really good tacos. To dress up your taco, get a little bit of the soy curl, get a little bit of the onion. I chopped up an onion really quickly, I diced it, and then I diced up some cilantro. And don't be afraid to get dirty. I mean, obviously this is my kitchen, but a little bit of lime. Oops, put that down. A little bit of lime. And then a little bit of the salsa that we made earlier, just like a drizzle on top. Man, you know when it's a good salsa? When it's thick. I don't like those watery sauces. They make my tortilla loose. This is how you eat a real taco. Mmm. That is so good. You hear my dog? She's literally coming because I'm making like yum noises and she knows what that means. And she wants some of this. I wish you could see her face right now. This is so good. I'm gonna put that aside because I want to try the mushroom pastor. And if you're at home, maybe you're cleaner than I am with your preparation of a taco. But I plan to wash my hands after this, so don't worry. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that looks good. My dog is giving me serious lovey-dovey eyes. Put that down. Oh yeah, I can already tell you this is gonna be good. That's good. It's very different than the soy curl though. It's got more like a mushroom sponginess. And the texture is more like you would find on like the fatty part of the pork, whereas the soy curl would be like a really lean cut of pork. So if that's what you like more, then I definitely recommend the oyster mushroom. And just for the aesthetics of it all, the oyster mushroom is so cool to cook with. I'm gonna do a close-up of that right now, but they're both really good. Now, if you're going for the keto version of this, then I highly recommend you removing or omitting the pineapple out of this. But if you're not really concerned about your carb count, and if it's within your macros, add some pineapple. It'll really take it to the next level. Just dice up some pineapple, make small little dices, add a few dices into your taco, and I promise you that it'll be the true taste of a taco al pastor. I can also recommend that you make this in a salad, just like a taco bowl without the tortilla, and it'll be so good. Just some lettuce, some of the cilantro, some of the onions, some of this like salsa, all the mix-ins of the pastor. Like you can do a little bit of both, or maybe just one if you're only going to be making one. And I'm going to include the macros for that in the description box. So I hope you like it. Please like this video if you like this idea, if you like this recipe, and comment down below if you've made this, or comment down below what you think about this. Again, vegan keto recipes delivered straight to your homepage every single week. Make sure and you subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.